This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty. How you feeling, my man? How was your flight?
Very smooth.
Huh?
On time, very smooth. Beautiful thing.
Is it snowing over there? So I know
No,
I'm headed out at 4 o'clock.
Not at all. It's actually warm, but it's kind of, it was raining when I got here. As I'm looking outside, it's not raining, but the streets are wet, and the high every day is in the 50s. And tomorrow it's in the 60s.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, bringing that warm weather.
Pretty much.
I was talking about this because obviously you and I have been going there for years. And in the 20-something years that I've been going, the one time, the best week ever was the Super Bowl week. I went there for the Super Bowl when they had it. And that whole week, dude, it was in the 50s to 60s. And everybody was freaking out. And, they brought out heat lamps to put all throughout the streets. So when people were walking around, there were heat lamps all over and all that. And it was like one of those things, like people were walking around like, wow, dude, this is like super comfortable. And in early February for it to be that way in Indianapolis is crazy. So, and they just had some winter systems go throughout the entire northern part of our country, man.
It was snowing in Pasadena on Sunday, for Christ's sake.
I know, dude. I know.
And here it's like it's balmy almost. It's weird. It's wacky.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're headed with. All kinds of extremes now with the changes in our climate, unfortunately. But it's just like what we're watching all over the world, man. It is crazy shit that goes on. All right, let's get into it. By the way, somebody was asking me now about the video that they had of Mac Jones being scolded and that it might have affected him and all that in his play. And then somebody says, can you imagine him going through what Tua had to go through with Flores? And I said, I think people don't realize or at least appreciate the kid's mental toughness, because you watch him come back from all these injuries. And then you think about that moment where he doesn't want him on the field and he's staying with Brissett in the Ravens game. And then he gets injured. And so now the kid goes out there on the field, and here's a coach that doesn't believe in you, didn't want you in the first place. So you got to go out there, and you go out there and you start bawling, and you bawl to the point that you force the coach to say, hey, Jacoby, stay there. We're going to stay with it. I don't, and we see what he has to go through now. He's trying to do the judo and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if people really appreciate the mental toughness that kid possesses, because he is, I know physically the durability is an issue, but mentally the kid is as fearless as it gets.
Okay.
You don't believe me? You don't agree with me?
I don't have a strong opinion. This whole notion of let's not make it sound like Flores was screaming at him day and night. There was reported one incident at halftime of the Tennessee game when, let's be honest, Tua was playing like dog shit. And my guess is Flores told him in very, very uncertain terms, you're playing like dog shit. Not the first coach who's ever done that. The reports I saw from New England is part of their issue, and this could apply to Tua as well. Part of their issue is they don't want the coaches to go crazy on Mac Jones, because Mac Jones is one of those who is emotionally all over the place, gets crazy high, crazy low. If he's playing like shit, he's going to get crazy low. So it doesn't need the coaches to pound on him. Tua was a guy who's very hard on himself. No, he doesn't need the coaches to pound on him.
No.
But it comes with the territory. You have to have mental toughness to play the position. Otherwise, you're not going to last.
Right. And I think he's proven that over and over again, even when he comes back through, the concussions and everything else. I think that's one thing that I appreciate about that kid. That's why I always give him a fighting chance, because I know that mentally he's not going to quit. He's not going to be, like Carson Wentz is a perfect example of a guy that maybe is not a mentally tough person, doesn't handle adversity very well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, he got himself Adam Beasley in the house saying hi.
There we go.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought here. That's how easily I get flustered. No, and he's going to
Adam Beasley's, beauty will do that to people. You know what I mean? It's kind of like watching Jimmy Garoppolo walk by. Adam Beasley, Jimmy Garoppolo, and I get it. It kind of takes the breath out of you.
That must be what it is.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
No, Tua's going to succeed above and everything else because of his accuracy and because of the timing and getting things done on time.
Somebody was asking me about, is this the year that the Dolphins draft a running back high in the draft? And I kind of am thinking that no, there's no way that happens. One, because that's not Chris Greer's MO, but then that's the obvious one. But the other one is, I think last year we kind of saw it, right? Chase Edmonds, a veteran back, came in and did not, adapt. Myles Gaskin got leaped over your boy Salvon Ahmed because Salvon Ahmed obviously knew the system and was very comfortable in it. I think you also risk in drafting a young guy, and you're going to need him because you saw with Jeff Wilson and Mostert, you're going to have to count on that third guy. So if he's going to battle Salvon for that third spot, you're also risking a guy that may not be able to adjust quickly. And then you've got another Chase Edmonds situation in your hands. And that third guy has to be able to adjust quickly to the offense like Salvon Ahmed. So that's why I don't think they even risk taking a rookie early on in this draft in the second or third rounds. Your thoughts on that?
Well, to me, it's not about system fit. And I don't think Salvon Ahmed leapfrogged Myles Gaskin because he was more familiar with the system. I think he leapfrogged him because he's got a higher ceiling. He's more athletic.
Okay.
Myles is very dependable. He's very solid. You know what you're going to get, but the upside is limited. Salvon Ahmed may be more likely to try to make something out of a run that's not there and lose 4 yards. Whereas if there's 2 yards to be had, Gaskin's going to get 2 yards, but he's going to get 2 yards. If there's 2 yards to be there, Ahmed could turn it into 8 yards, or he could make it a 4-yard loss. That to me is why Ahmed leapfrogged. The other issue is this is not a running back dependent scheme. Hence, no need to be spending premium assets, whether it be draft capital or salary cap space, on a running back.
Great point.
This is why it's always by committee. To me, I've said all along, I wouldn't be floored one bit if they re-sign Ahmed, if they re-sign Wilson, if they re-sign Mostert.
I think that the top two guys for sure are coming back. I'm with you there. I think they're going to bring back Wilson and Mostert for sure. They made a good 1-2 punch, actually. I think if you improve the line, they get even better, actually. If that left guard and the right tackle is solved, I think your backs will look even better than they did last year.
But even look at the numbers last year. Their running game, I think, in yards per carry was actually middle of the pack.
Yeah,
it was fine. The thing is, they didn't stick with the run very much. And part of it is because their two best players on offense are Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And it makes no sense to have a run-oriented offense when you have all that speed outside. And then maybe at times the short yardage running wasn't particularly good, but how much of that was the backs? How much of that was the offensive line? So
I'm with you there. All right. What do you think the Dolphins outside of the Underwear Olympics are trying to accomplish this week here at the Combine?
Well, I mean, it's as with every combine, I'm sure they're talking to agents, laying the groundwork and talking about their own free agents, trying to see if they're going to re-sign guys. I'm sure they're going to have conversations with Christian Wilkins' agent. I'm sure they're going to have conversations with Drew, since he represents 10 players, including Zach Sealer. Robert Hunt's another one who's going to be in line for an extension at some point because he's entering the last year of his contract and he's a keeper. Thing with him is kind of the same with Zach Sealer, and I haven't looked at Hunt's number recently, but I don't think he makes a ton of money in the fourth year of his rookie deal as a second-round pick. So the idea of extending him is to make sure you keep him more so than to create salary cap space, unlike Wilkins, where it serves two purposes. As far as evaluating the prospects, look, the Dolphins don't have a first-round pick. So looking not necessarily for the glamour guys, and they're certainly, if we're talking running backs, they're certainly not looking at Bijan Robinson from Texas, who will be long gone. If they're getting a corner, they're certainly not looking at Joey Porter's kid, who's going to be gone in the first round. So looking more for depth guys and UDFAs. Hopefully, that you can unearth a couple more gems like Kader Kohu.
Let me ask you something. Tell us about how the Dolphins stole Fangio away from the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton.
You saw the headline, huh? Yeah, Sean Payton. Who, by the way,
I read the story, but I don't want to I want you to tell the story.
No, it was very cool. Sean Payton actually, the media sessions with the coaches at the podiums were supposed to start at 10 a.m. Sean Payton started early and kept going and going and going. And then he was asked about all of the guys that he interviewed for defensive coordinator, and he mentioned Vance Joseph, who ultimately got the job, Rex Ryan, Sean Desai, who we didn't know but wanted to talk to him because he's a brilliant young guy who actually, somebody the Dolphins targeted as well. And then he mentioned Vic was part of the plan, but you guys scared him away. When he said you, at the immediate time, I thought he meant the media, and then later on it flashed back as it does, because then I followed up like, see, you mentioned Vic. What kind of extended discussion did you have about him joining you this year? And what are the Dolphins getting in him as a coach? And this is where he mentioned that the part of the plan all along was for them to coach together. And he said it was a unique situation that made it tough to go back here meaning Denver, because remember, Fangio was fired by the Broncos in 2021. So I can see where it would have been very uncomfortable for Fangio to go back and coach some players who may or may not have had his back in 2021 at the time he was let go. But Payton said he tried and he tried and he tried, and I couldn't get him to join him. And eventually Fangio, as we know, joined the Dolphins, and Payton obviously raves about Fangio, basically pointing out, not a coincidence, but half the league runs the quote-unquote Fangio defense.
Okay. All right. So, but in scaring him, he meant, say that again. What did he mean by?
I think it was a little joke with the media, saying that maybe they made his life so tough, or they maybe
in Denver.
In Denver, when he said here, he meant Denver. He didn't mean Indianapolis, because that's when he used the word here. But I think in retrospect, it's clear he meant Denver.
They have a very passionate fan base.
They do.
They have a very dedicated media to the Broncos. I mean, like, the Broncos get some sick ass coverage in Denver. Actually, I don't think people realize how fanatical people are in that part of the country about their Broncos, like super fanatical. I remember, in fact, when Marvez used to work. Remember, Marvez used to work there.
Correct.
And Marvez would show me a paper back in the day when he was working there, and the sports page in those days. Oh my God, dude. It was like a magazine that would come out every day about the Broncos. But I don't know how. I'm sure everything's been trimmed down.
Yeah, it's changed.
Because unfortunately, the damn business, what a shame, bro. To me, the newspaper business was, not that I'm a newspaper writer, but I think it's that's the one that I appreciated the most out of all of it, because those are the people that are there every freaking day following every single thing. And it just is better for the fan. I think the beat writer is the best. And so, it's just, wow, it's impressive. And so I can understand where they kind of went after him, and why would he want to go back, even though everything has changed, right? Ownership, Peyton's running the show. So he kind of had, he would have had his way and all that stuff, but I guess he didn't want to have to deal with all that. And I don't know how much he would admit that he's also, on this side, he's got his family in Philadelphia and his mom in Florida. So I don't know how much he really would admit that also had to do with a big portion of why he's here, I would imagine. No, that's certainly the possibility. And there are a lot of factors involved. And the other interesting aspect is Vance Joseph also was a former head coach with the Broncos.
You know,
That's
before
right.
before Fangio, and I think the thing with Joseph is exit from Denver, I think might have been smoother than Fangio's maybe. And I think maybe the fandom and the media were softer on Joseph, who maybe didn't have quite the talent level that
Did
Fangio
Vance
did.
leave after interim head coach, or did he
No,
leave after head coach?
he was head coach for 2 years with the Broncos
That's right. Okay.
after he left the
Wasn't sure.
Dolphins.
Right. That's right.
So,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. That's how it went. I was wondering, was it interim or was it head coach? And I wasn't.
No.
I'm kind of forgetting there. The other thing I wanted to ask you, and somebody brought this up, and I think it's a really really important position and an extreme need for the Dolphins, not to the extent of a linebacker or a two-way tight end or a tackle maybe. I get those are, but I think something you really need is a returner. I think you've got to find a way to get a returner on this team. And maybe it's that extra corner that you draft. Maybe it's a running back that we just talked about. That third running back is a specialist also at the same time. Maybe it's a receiver that will be your last receiver that is also a specialist. And I know that the return game has been trimmed down a little bit, but it's a real problem for the Dolphins. Like they didn't have anybody competent that at least can scare teams, especially on punt returns. I get it, kick returns go through the end zone most of the time, but on punt returns, you'd like to have something that's a threat. How important do you think it is that Miami finds some kind of a threat in the return game?
It's way down my list, and we've discussed this before because to me,
I know.
again, the big issue with the special teams is don't allow the big return. Okay, accept the fact that even if you don't have many of your own, that's not to me. Give me a linebacker, give me a good tight end, give me a good dependable backup quarterback, give me a good corner. I think safety for some reason, I think we've kind of dismissed that
Cover
as a
safety.
potential. Well, correct, because Brandon Jones not only isn't a great fit for this scheme, which requires more coverage from the safeties, he's also coming back from a torn ACL, and we don't know how that's going to go. And then you got Verone McKinley, who was a rookie free agent last year. Elijah Campbell showed promise, but he's not a proven guy in the least. So this is why I threw out, and then I was accused of like, well, every time a big name, comes on the market, you're going to link him to the Dolphins. No, but when Jordan Poyer says basically, stopping short of saying I want to play for the Dolphins, and can you consider the caliber if you can make the numbers work, obviously, and juggle the salary cap, obviously. I think the Dolphins would be crazy not to explore that possibility because the dude can play.
Oh, yeah, no, of course. The dude can play, and he's durable, too. I know he missed a couple games this year, but you look at it, he's played the entire season every single year. All right, so I don't know if you'll be able to sign Jordan Poyer if you end up signing one of these guys. And this is actually the Dolphins need a middle linebacker. Well, guess what? This is the year to need a middle linebacker because there's a shit ton of middle linebackers in free agency.
Yep.
So let me throw out some names. You are now Chris Greer. Okay, so you get to put on the hat. What is that logo he has on?
It's some kind of golf hat.
It's a golf hat, right?
I believe. Yeah.
I forgot the logo, but it's always the same logo. I don't know what it is, but he wears that same logo. So now you've got that logo hat, whatever the hell it is. And we throw out Jermaine Pratt, Bobby Wagner, Tremaine Edmonds, Levante David, and David Long Jr., and even the white kid over in Philadelphia. Give me, who is the guy that Chris Poupart signs?
Well, here's the thing, though. His financial considerations are going to come into play because if they don't, Tremaine Edmonds would be my guy, but he's going to be expensive. And this is where cost effectiveness comes into play. I don't know how cost effective he is, but I'm a big fan of his game. If you're looking for cost effectiveness, I think Levante David could be had at a decent price, especially if he's willing to do the hometown discount to come back to Miami. I like White's game. He's to me being a nice under the radar signing, and I think it would be more cost effective. I don't necessarily, to me, I don't need, and again, it can be coupled with, if you tell me I can have Poyer and Kaiser White or Edmonds, but nobody at safety or a much lesser player, I think I'd go the other way around. Give me White and Poyer as a combo, but purely
They
middle
need,
linebacker.
they need a middle linebacker badly on this team.
Yeah, but how much? The question is, how much are we willing to pay for Tremaine Edmonds?
Well, I would go Bobby Wagner. That way you don't sign a long-term deal and you have him
zero
for a
problem with that.
year or two. And he had a great freaking year last year. He didn't have a good year. He had a great year last year. My God, he was good. And he can rush the passer. He got like 6 sacks last year.
Career high.
A career high, had like 4 interceptions, and obviously had his 4,000 tackles like he has, every single year. And I don't think that's a big deal. I think that's a Chris Greer 2-year special. Because again, you've got the hat on. You know that you love to sign people to 2-year contracts. You love working that 2-year angle
with avoidable years.
Yeah. So I think he does that kind of stuff, Plus, the second year is one that he can play with if he wants to extend it another year and push back some money and all that kind of stuff. So I know the game they're playing, which is really smart on their part. But it's one of those things. You don't have to give him a 4 or 5-year contract like you would have to give Edmonds, because the big ass signing bonus is coming with it and all that stuff.
Correct. No, that's why. Again, that's why I preface it by saying, if you remove all financial considerations, Edmonds is my top choice. If you don't, as you said, no, I like the Bobby Wagner idea. Again, it's going to take some gymnastics to bring in one or more of those guys, because they do have a lot of work to do.
All right, they're going to be cleaning out now. They're going to be cleaning out the roster. They're going to be reworking deals, all of that. We know Byron Jones is gone. We know that Mike Gesicki is gone. Is there a surprise cut that we're not thinking of, that you're thinking of, that I don't think people realize that this guy may get cut? Is there a name that you can give us?
Yeah, it's the same name I've given you, that it wouldn't necessarily shock me. That's Jerome Baker. He's got a pretty high cap number. I don't know that he's a great fit for this scheme. I don't know that he's played up to the contract extension he got. I mean, he's been a solid player. I don't think he's been
he had a good year last year was a good year for him.
It was
for him.
It's got a lot of tackle numbers. I don't. There are a lot of times I don't feel him. You look in the box score after the game and the game book, and he's got 11 tackles, and you're like, where'd those come from? He's not somebody that I would say that I've really felt. So if you're asking me for one guy I could see who's kind of a bigger name, he's the one that really jumps out at me.
All right. Follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL. Catch him twice a week here doing the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report. And, of course, catch all of his work there at Sports Illustrated, alldolphins.com. See, if you would bookmark it, this morning you would have gotten the story, find out how the Dolphins stole Vic Fangio from Sean Payton's ass. Right there. See, you would have found out the scoop with Poop. Ha! There you go. Follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL. Alain, as always, appreciate you, my brother. We'll see you, I don't know, maybe tonight. I don't know. You're going to have By the way, I arrive around 7. So maybe we can go see a little Okie. I can be there by the second period or something like that.
Let's keep in touch.
All right. You got it, my brother. Be good. I'll talk to you later. There you go, Alain Poupart. And when we talk about EJD construction, look, a lot of our listeners in Dade or Broward County have called Eric, and they are fixing all kinds of things. And I tell you, Dade or Broward, 305-433-4843. And we've got one listener that had a unfortunate fire in their home. They had to remediate everything, gut it all out. That's what remediate is. You gut everything out, right? And you make it all anew. And that's exactly what they're doing. We had a listener a couple months back that built a observation deck on top of their house. We had another listener that built an extension to their house. They built 2 rooms actually because of some consolidation, family-wise, whatever it was. We got a listener that built a big old shed in the back. It's not like a tiki hut. It's different because it has like these kind of things, these panels. It's different. But under it was a full kitchen, barbecue, grease trap. The point is, it's custom home construction, major home remodeling. Okay. And actually, we have a listener that I don't know when they're starting to work, but they're like modernizing the kitchen. I talk about that all the time. So there's all different kinds of things that you can do with EJD construction. Also, we've got listeners calling EJD construction because they're trying to renew their insurance policies. And now they're finding out that, oh, wait a minute, your house is older than 20 years. Your roof is not up to code anymore. You need to upgrade it. EJD Construction can upgrade that roof. So if you live in Dade or Broward County, please call Eric right now. I'm giving you the owner's personal cell number, 305-433-4843. Shell Construction in-house. That's how they keep the cost down. They pass on the savings to you. They're fully insured, liability and workers' comp. So if somebody gets hurt on your property, nobody's going to sue you because they're fully insured. And listen, if you don't hire EJD Construction and you want to hire somebody else, that's your right. But I just want to give you advice as a friend. Whoever you do hire, make sure, like EJD Construction, they are fully insured. Because if somebody gets hurt on your property, you will get sued. 305-433-4843. Go to the Instagram page so you can see a lot of the before and after work, and it'll be impressive. EJDconstruction.com.